those events. It's always part of where youth and research for youth is done, and hoping that the best will come on the paper and policy papers for youth. So I think the report that we'll be launching today is going to be one of the first, I guess, reports in the regard of digital rights and empowering youth on digital rights and having a regional view of it. So not losing time, I'll give the floor to the executive director of SCiDEV to say some more words about the project and what's going on with it, how it is implemented. The floor is for Bleriana Bino. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Nabila. Good morning, Minister. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming and for joining here today at Europe House. And also thank you to our partners from Belgrade and from Montenegro that have joined us online, and also other participants that could not make it in person but are following us through Zoom. So we really appreciate that. For us, as Nabila mentioned, this is an important moment because for many years we planned this project on how to enhance the digital literacy, digital skills, and digital rights of youth, considering how much digitalization is impacting our life nowadays, but also particularly our opportunities to engage and to participate in decision-making processes. So we are very happy to have in this consortium, in this project, as well, public institutions such as the Youth Agency in Albania, the support also of the State Minister for Youth, and to be working with partners from Montenegro, from Belgrade, and from Spain as well. This project would not have been possible without the support of the European Union, the ERASMUS Capacity Building in the Field of Youth program that has been very generous to support us and our partners to work with youth. In the first part of the project, we've been dealing with research mainly, so we have tried to map and assess the skills, the knowledge, the competencies of youth regarding digitalization and digital democracy in Albania and in Montenegro. You will hear more from my colleagues Luciana and Yasmina and Marco later on. And in the next 14 months of the project, slightly more than a year, we will work concretely with youth with study tours in Spain, in Belgrade, in Montenegro, but also with concrete granting opportunities, workshops and other capacity building mentoring programs to support you and your peers in using digital technologies for participation and decision-making processes, but also as tools to empower you more broadly and your leadership skills. So we hope that you will find this conversation today useful. We welcome any feedback regarding the results of the study, and of course that we look forward to improve further our activities in through this project. So again, thank you, Minister, for joining us today. Thank you everyone else for being here, and also to our partners, and for sure a special thanks to SCiDEV team, to ESN and to CCIS for supporting in the project implementation, and to Yasmina that has steered this activity and this event as usually with her commitment and enthusiasm. Thank you again, and looking forward to the discussions.
Thank you, Bleriana. I'll give the floor to our dear Minister, Albania's effort towards youth engagement in digital democracy.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'm going to stand up. I feel a bit awkward sitting down, so I'll feel a bit closer like this to you guys. So first of all, I really love the invitation for this event, not only because we've teamed up with SCiDEV since the first day through our National Youth Agency. Thank you to our team members from National Youth Agency for being here today. And to be honest, there is two things I wanted to share. The first one, that this for us on the National Youth Agency was the first project that we actually teamed up with civil society to be part of. And for this, big thanks to Bleriana and to the whole SCiDEV team for making us part of it, because I strongly believe that any national agency, any public institution, if they don't team up with civil society, especially when it comes to youth engagement, then our job would not be complete. So we have to do it together. This is something that has to be a joint effort. If it's not a joint effort, then of course it's not as sustainable as it could have been. So for this, a very big thanks. And the second thing that I wanted to share, I am sure that every single young person in Albania has currently heard about our negotiation process with the EU. And for the first time ever, we're in that wonderful position that the dream of our parents, and perhaps of my generation as well, of seeing Albania in the European Union, that used to be just a dream in the past. We didn't have any concrete deadlines. We didn't have a very strong action plan. And for the first time now, we have an actual action plan. We have an action plan, we have a deadline, we have opened the first process of the first draft chapters of negotiation. And that's, of course, a very important accomplishment for our country. And I strongly believe that the biggest accomplishment is for our young people, because you will be the first ones to actually understand what it means to be part of the European Union, as well as to reap the fruits from this process. Because sometimes what I feel is that we don't do a good enough job at explaining why this is important, because the European Union seems like something that is far and distant, and we don't always understand the accomplishments as well as the benefits that we can reap from this process. And I think today, this program that we're doing via Erasmus+, it's the best way to explain how we can benefit from the negotiation process and how we can benefit from the EU negotiation, as well as, most importantly, what we will benefit in the future. So I believe that you have gained the strength and the abilities through this project to become even better in the future, better at project writing, better at gaining funds and support from the European Union. And most importantly, you have become empowered as individuals. We have tried our hardest, and we continue trying every single day as government when it comes to empowering young people. And I am sure a lot of you here I have seen in our process of consulting our national youth strategy, as well as not just consulting, because drafting a strategy is only the first step. The part that is more important is actually implementing the strategy. And I'm so happy that I see all of you being part of all of these processes in the implementation of the national youth strategy. And one thing that we have focused on in the national youth strategy is digital skills. But something that this program brings in a different light is not only digital skills, but passing on from digital skills to digital democracy. So I have to congratulate the whole team that wrote the project, because it's something so innovative that doesn't only focus on the digital skills as we have done for so many years. And I believe when it comes to digital skills, the Albanian government has done a great job, both in terms of teaching young kids in primary school coding, and we're one of the few countries in the world that actually do that, but even to move forward with our programs for young people that from the age of 16, they get to participate in subsidized programs in coding in the Republic of Albania with the financing of the government. These are only two of the initiatives, but I'm sure you've seen Tumo, I'm sure you've seen all the initiatives that we have there, not just for programming, but also for all the different varieties of technology and information technology that you can possibly think of. So this is something we've done, but we had never done before, something that links digital skills with digital democracy. So for this, I'm particularly happy to see the results of the project. I would like to say that I have read all of it, but as I confessed to Brianna, it was a very extended study. So I look forward to reading all the findings that you have included in this report. And the part that I wanted to focus on as well is the fact that it's not just a report that identifies all the strengths and opportunities that we have, but also the weaknesses. And I think this is important because it means that we can focus on the right things. We can focus on the things that young people have identified as issues where they want to improve on. And I believe in the next year of the project, we will be more hands-on. We will get to the part of the project that I usually prefer most, which is when we get in touch with young people and when we teach them and when we train them. And most importantly, where we empower them to become active actors of change. Because if we don't include young people in policy making, this I think is my personal motto, as well as the motto of the institution I represent. If we don't include young people, and when I mention young people, not just having you as listeners, but having you as active members discussing and giving us opinions, because the government does need your input. And without having your input, I strongly believe that we wouldn't have the best policies. So please do engage, please use all the mechanisms that you have at your disposal, not only digital mechanisms, but all the mechanisms for inclusion, empowerment. And I'm particularly happy that Yasmina is gonna lead the next session. She's also part of our National Youth Council. She's very active there. So if you have any comments, please make sure to transmit them to her, and she will make sure to transmit them in the next meeting that we'll have with our National Youth Council, where I would really like to ask you in advance if you can make a presentation of all the findings, and perhaps we can have a separate meeting so that you can update us a little bit on how everything has gone and what we can do together with the National Youth Council to make this process even better. Lastly, we're always at your support, civil society as well, and I'm so happy that I see my colleagues from the National Agency for Society of Information. That's the correct title in English, and happy that you're part of the team. And I strongly believe that your input will have made the project even better. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for being part of this. Good luck and enjoy it. That's the most important part. If you enjoy it, you're going to learn a lot as well. So hopefully it will be successful. And if we did do something that we could have done better, please do let us know. We're always here to take criticism and to make sure that next time we do it even better. Thank you and have a good day today.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your remarks, and I'm happy to hear that, yes, the report maybe will have a space on the Youth Council event that is coming soon. So the report that you see today, it has been going through a long process, a very constructive one, including SCiDEV team, including Center for Comparative and International Studies team, and the Erasmus network, a student network team, which are Albanian partner in this project, and the National Youth Agency supporting the whole process. So this has been for the report in Albania, but maybe, I don't know if you were aware that another report for Montenegro is coming out today. So that's one of the outcomes of this project, and is the basement, is the foundation of what we're going to build up for the next year, and how we will going to proceed maybe in the future for other joint projects. So I'll give the floor to Luciana and Lula from the Erasmus Students Network, one of the project partners, and Yasmina, the project coordinator from SCiDEV, to present us the mapping of youth participation in digital democracy, the case of Albania.
Hello, can you hear me? If possible, please put the presentation on Zoom so that everyone can follow us. Thank you. So now I would like to lead and start this session with Luciana. She is going to start the presentation. Further on, I'm going to be presenting some of the findings.
Yes, thank you everyone for being here, young people, institutions, partners of the project, and also especially institutional support is very important for all that we will be presenting here. As it was already said, it's quite a comprehensive study. We aimed to have it like that. Hopefully it was successful. And at the end, I would really like to invite Mrs. Minister, if she can stay also for actionable recommendations, or because we tried to do this as smart as possible, so you can take initiative. And really also our partners from private sector, there are also something that we can do to team up as well to have this as inclusive as possible for young people. We structured the presentation today quite quickly in giving a short context, the methodological aspect, which will be explained by Yasmina, key recommendation, just to give an overview of what we did, and we collected input from experts, youth survey, focus groups, case studies from best practices across the region and the EU. And finally, of course, we did some legal analysis. So I will jump now to the Albanian context. Of course, you are aware and you live this reality every day, but also for our partners online in Montenegro.
Currently, the population of Albania has declined by 18%. And unfortunately, youth unemployment remains one of the challenges that has to be tackled by the entire society. NEET rate is, according to data, 25.2% as of 2023. And this is actually very important data that tells a lot about the inclusion, because it's very important since it's slightly higher than EU average. On the other hand, we have a good internet penetration, 80%, a figure that also tells us that the other 20% is something we need to do, even as organizations, to reach out to these young people who don't have access to internet, or most of the initiatives which we unfortunately switched after COVID to online. We don't need to forget about the physical interaction as well, and outreach. And the digital skills have improved based on that data from Eurostat. And as you can imagine, the urban-rural divide still exists also, with Tirana being the major hub, and then lower to other countries. Having said this, it's also important to give an overview of the legal framework, and for this we also thank our colleague Iris for the thorough analysis. We divided into 3 categories because this is a cross-cutting topic, so it's important to assess the legal framework and international conventions with regard to digital rights, cyber rights, the general rights of young people in Albania as citizens of the country, and youth participation, where one of the prominent documents, actually the most prominent document, is, as Minister Mujaci expressed, the National Youth Strategy, which also has specific objectives focused on digital skills to address the gaps that we mentioned before. So Albania has ratified the Budapest Convention when it comes to cyber crimes. So this is important, maybe especially for young people, because during focus groups, as Yasmina will explain, a lot of young people expressed cyberbullying as an issue. So there is a legal framework in place that you can take up this complaint and follow up if you, despite of course social and psychological support when needed. There are the reporting mechanism in place via the National Cybersecurity Authority. Of course, the freedom of speech and the rights are stipulated in our constitution, in the laws on personal data, in the law for public access to public right access to information, as well as cybercrime. It's a crime, so it's part of the criminal code. The intersection with youth participation is linked thanks to the law on youth approved in 2019 and with recent modifications, as well as the National Youth Strategy, where, as I said, digital skills places an important part, together with youth participation as general concept. But of course, most young people, as we saw, 80% have access and are online. So youth digital participation comes as a result. And in terms of the overall macro strategy of the country, of course, digitalization and smart specialization strategy is the umbrella and overarching framework for the country and its future alignment.
Thank you, Luciana. So regarding the findings from our study, first off, I would like to start with the methodology, because it is important to understand properly how we came to these findings. So in order to have a comprehensive review of the current situation, but this time from the youth voice, not just from statistic and from the law, we decided to have a combined methodology of both qualitative focus groups, which in this case we had 2 focus groups plus 6 interviews with youth experts. And in addition to that, we also hosted an online survey for at least a period of 3 months, in which we had 213 respondents. That was enough in order to get a proper representative sample as well. So in this case, we can say that the findings from the quantitative part of the study can be representative. In addition to that, we also have the desk research, which Luciana had the opportunity to share with you. Now, I would like to share with you something more regarding our findings, taking in consideration that is a huge report. We will try to keep it as short as possible, but I would also encourage you to take notes in order for us to have a proper opportunity to discuss it further on things that probably caught your interest throughout this presentation. I would like to start with the first section of our quantitative survey. Our quantitative survey had four main sections, in which one of them was the participation and youth activism, but this time from a digital context. Now, what is interesting, and I would like to start it with that, is that youth for sure recognize the importance of digital activism. They really believe that digital activism can make a change. There is 74.1% of the respondents which believe the statements that I just mentioned. But on the other hand, we also see that in line with this first finding, we have that youth also has some kind of, they're kind of being influenced and regarding their views when it comes to information they take from online means, such as, for example, social media and stuff. This means that social media may also have a positive impact in case we have positive information flowings, for example, from civil society actors which aim to make campaigns. But on the other hand, that is also something that we have to take in consideration as a concern, because the same potential to influence young people through social media can also be used in a misinformation way and a negative way, which can also have a detrimental impact in the way they view, for example, everything that is going on in the reality as well. Now, regarding the participation, one key finding that is actually a bit concerning regarding our young people and their participation is that we have a trend of selectivism. And by selectivism, we mean that our youngsters are engaging in a digital sphere, but on the other hand, their engagement is plainly very superficial. And in addition to being superficial, it's very low effort. This is something that probably we need to, have more initiatives in order to change it, so that we can equip our youngsters with proper means in order to engage meaningfully, as if we would always want them to be. So in this case, our trends is that 19.6% of the respondents report to be actively participating in social media and political activities in the digital sphere, in comparison with lots of more of youngsters which weren't engaged in this, regarding to the responses they gave. In addition to that, the most common form of digital engagement, as I previously mentioned, is just following news online, which is the first step that we have in order to be engaged. Something that is very crucial for us as civil society actors in particular to see further on in order to change, but also to see how the institution in collaboration we can have in order to improve this current situation. In addition to that, the second most followed form of digital engagement is also by just not being engaged at all, which was the second main finding on that. Now, why are our young people not really engaged according to their own responses? According to their responses in the survey, the main reason that they showed are mainly related to lack of time, but also to lack of motivation. There are also participation that claim to be enough engaged, which means that they have no incentive to engage more in this sense. But this also means that there needs to be more awareness raising regarding the situation in order for young people to understand that this kind of superficial engagement is not the best for them nor for the community. But in addition to that, regarding focus group findings, the focus group findings revealed that the participants, some of them had main reasons for not being engaged, probably because of the way they also view their social media engagement. mostly social media, according to young people, is used for individualistic and also consumerist purposes. So we see the social media as mainly what can I benefit from it rather than what can we give back to the community and how we can engage more young people, or also how we can engage meaningfully to bring some kind of desired impact that we have. In addition to that, we also have fear from consequences. This was the second main theme that young people showed during the focus groups. And the main reasons why they felt feared in their online engagement was mainly because they perceived the online community, and by that we mean social media platforms, as very polarized and very disruptive sometimes. They feared that whenever they had some idea that wasn't, for example, common sense for everyone, whenever they will share that, they will either be canceled or either be mocked or bullied. So cyberbullying was one of the biggest fears that young people were facing regarding to the engagement in social media. And that was also because they had cases of their relatives, or not just only relatives, but also friends, being tackled by this issue. But although they were very informed that the cyberbullying is ongoing, they weren't very ready to react upon it, and that was mainly because they see it as a very normalized situation. So they're, in a sense, very numbed to react towards that. And in addition to that, they also do not feel that they have the necessary institutional support. When asked regarding their approach, whether they would go to the institution, mainly young people said that they weren't really trusting institution, and that was because three main factors, one of them being mainly because young people think that institutions do not have the institutional capacity, and by that I mean technical ability and stuff, to support them, but also because they really believe that probably they would even be ridiculed by the institution themselves. For sure, we should take into account that this is general perception that is caused by the lack of trust that we have in institutions, but for sure this is some issue that the institutions may find as interesting in order to make campaigns, in order to tackle this issue. So to inform the young people that, hey, we have the capacities, we may lack one or two, but we need you as well to engage in order for us to improve this current situation as well. And in addition to everything we said, the key challenges that young people also mentioned that they had, it was the first one, it was information overload and fake news. So it was also related to their ability to identify fake news, but also to the fact that throughout the whole day we're bombarded with information, thus making it very difficult not only for civil society actors, but also for institutions that are interested in this sense to reach to them. So feeling this bombarded, sometimes they just feel the need to move away from this information overload and just to stick to some stigmas that they may have. In addition to that, the lack of information about initiatives, engaged communities, and their activities is some other problem that they mentioned to have, but that may also be very related to the algorithms that we have in the social media, and that is because whenever we choose to follow specific institutions or social media pages, we will be bombarded with likable information. In addition to that, we also have the section of the digital platform that we asked youth. What we asked youth about was regarding the most used means of information. But in addition to that, some interesting finding that we choose as probably most interesting to share with you today is that in comparison with the European average of youth engagement in digital platforms, Albanian youth is very similar. So they tend to have the same tendency of sharing of using social media. But what is, on the other hand, lacking from our side is the using of, for example, online banking. In Albania, youth, according to the survey results, only 25.2% of them use online banking, while in comparison with their EU counterpart, 64% of them use it. This means that probably even when it comes to youth being engaged in using different digital platforms, they may be a bit, they may lack a bit of trust in that as well, but also may be an indicator that they may lack also potential skills in that section. And regarding digital skills, we also identify that there is a mismatch between the skills that they presume to have, and on the other hand, the skills that they admit when they self-assess, specifically on cybersecurity and fact-checking. In this case, they believe that they have higher skills, but when asked in thorough, they identify that they lack specifically cyber security, but in addition to fact-check, they may be probably more problems in the cybersecurity section. And lastly, regarding the sections that we have in the findings, digital rights are not properly understood better from the young generation, and that is that can also be shown in this graph over here that states that 46.5% of respondents don't know what digital rights are. And this means that more information campaigns are necessary, but probably we will need to expand the ways that we share information, because only online platforms are sometimes not effective in that direction. And I would thank you for your attention. I will leave the floor to Luciana to share our recommendations regarding to all these issues.
Thank you, Yasmina. So as you could see from a snippet of key findings, because the report has many more in details and also explanations, we have some paradoxes and also joint issues and challenges. First of all, is information. On one hand, we have young people complaining that there is an overload on information, and when it comes to more information on digital rights, digital participation, they claim and they perceive like there is not enough information. But also we have 83% of young people present in social media. And this is more a call to action for us as youth organizations and policymakers, so that we can maybe be more proactive and find more creative ways to reach out to these young people who are overloaded by fake news and information, but still feel like this, maybe the algorithm pushes us down. I don't know. We have to find ways regarding that. The other issue is information. And also support mechanisms to young people and engagement. These are the three keywords I have highlighted in the main conclusions, and these recommendations that we have come up with can really feed, and we based especially recommendations for policymakers on the national strategy. We put also some concrete timelines there that maybe they can feed the actions of the National Youth Action Plan, and we can create this synergy. Dariana is flagship initiator of creating synergy instead of inventing the wheel, and we also support that as a consortium. So it's really important that we can all contribute and in existing and improve the existing mechanisms. So it's important for policymakers to do the education and in the part of the curricula in pre-university, also in university. Teachers are an important element here, because they need to be trained in order to convey further this. And the vocational education is also an important aspect in terms of the youth employment. We know that the National Agency of Skills and Employment is putting an effort on vocational education, so it's also a call to have this horizontal coordination as well. And the National Digital Skills Program as well, it's part of, in different wordings, also part of the National Youth Strategy, but we can maybe join efforts there, because as you will see on youth organizations, it's a call for us, and it made also us to sit back and reflect that we need to do more workshops and awareness raising. One element of the report, it's also some recommendations for political parties specifically. So in terms of political parties, based on the research, one of the main issues was to engage young people in the digital campaigns, to have ethical considerations for their digital engagements, because as you saw, young people feel like feared to use political digital activism initiatives, and mainly they watch news online, but they don't really engage. So political parties need to have more ethical consideration regarding that. In terms of campaigning, we encourage political parties to explore other ways of engaging them, like hackathons or even advocacy, keeping in mind the need of young people as well. And of course, the overarching principle here would be promotion of transparency in order to achieve the trust of young people and have them engaged politically and civically. It doesn't necessarily mean to make them members of the parties, but we need the inputs of young people when it comes to also political parties. In terms of youth organizations and organizations for youth, of course, we have information workshops, what we are doing, future projects, collaboration and advocacy initiatives for the government and with the government, and innovative and creative ways, as I said. And to young people, you know this situation very well, because as I said at the beginning, you live it every day, but please join such projects, keep yourself informed, try to have a critical thinking, do the fact checking, and if you feel cyberbullied or under threat, please use the legal reporting mechanisms that are in place or the support structure that some organizations are giving to even children under 18, but also older and adult young people. So thank you, and yes, the floor is back to Nabila.
Sure. Sorry. I have a habit of breaking the agenda and the protocol. So I just wanted to make a slight comment. Unfortunately, I have to leave you, but the National Youth Agency team is going to be here to follow the rest of the event. Two things caught my attention in your recommendations. The first one, when you mentioned, is still cybersecurity curriculum in pre-university education. The second one, teach and train pre-university teachers on cybersecurity topics. And the last one, which said National Digital Skills Program, upskilling and reskilling of young people for a brighter tomorrow. Just to catch you up, I did mention slightly what we've been doing on this, but when it comes to introducing the cybersecurity in our pre-university education, I would like to let you know that first grade, second grade, third grade, we're already piloting a new program that is happening actually in 306 schools in the Republic of Albania. We're in the process of integrating 600 more schools in this program, so we already have it. And this goes with a training program for our teachers as well. So we train our teachers 3 times a year. The first one is for the platform that they use in school, which is the CodeMonkey platform that we've integrated. The second one is about methodology of teaching. And the third one is about making sure that the way they teach is adapted to the young age of these children that are being taught. So I think perhaps if there is still opportunity to include it in your report, the initiatives that currently the government has undertaken. Again, we're doing this together with the Ministry of Education and with the National Agency for Society of Information. That's why my colleagues perhaps can give you more details following up. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is on the National Digital Skills Program. We have started a program as a government as of 2 years now. That is our coding program that we do it together with businesses in Albania. And the point of this program is that everybody from the age of 16 and above can get to access through these programs that have the purpose of upskilling and reskilling. Currently, we have 1,800 people that have benefited from this program. We do it in 2 ways. First, for NEETs, so those that are not in employment, in education or training, we offer 100% support from the government. So we pay their full fee to partake into these programs. And the second one, for those that are students or employed, we only offer 50% support. I say only, but 50% is already a big support. So in regards to this, both of these components, I think it's important to mention the initiatives that we're currently undertaking. Of course, we need to do more. I agree with you, but it's important to even inform the public as well as young people that we have taken some measures that I believe are innovative in their approach. And sorry again for breaking the protocol, but I think it's important to mention this to the young people that are here as well. Thank you.
Yeah. There is no protocol when we work with youth, so.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're happy
here,
that the report sparked your interest.
Always.
And I hope for the next session that we have, we'll have more feedback. And
here you have my team. They're the masters.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Luciana and Yasmina, for a really comprehensive presentation and details as much as needed. So we catch the interest of everyone to read the full report. And sure, it's not final. I mean, that's the reason that we have this event to consult it with you, with the ones that we will have it online, right there with a Q code. And so people will read it, and we can wait for feedback till we finalize the report. I'll leave the floor. As I said, today we also have our partners from Montenegro here online. Maja Nikolic, project manager from UZOR, our partner, is going to present the mapping of youth participation in digital democracy, the case of Montenegro. Thank you, Maja.
Përshëndetje SCiDEV. My name is Maja. Thank you for
nice
the introduction. Yeah, thank you. Today I'm here to represent the data from Montenegro. The data are very large, but I will try to keep it as short as possible, but to have in mind that these are some of the most important things, because I think it's very important to talk about digital skills for youth, because we talk always about youth, but we need some inputs to know what is need to be better. So I think that this report will be on the good trace to make some good changes in our country and of course in Albania. So I will start with the presentation. I don't know if you are going to put it on the screen or I can do it.
You can share it, I guess. That's what they're saying. You can share it by the screen.
Yes, but I can see that option because it's always on the bottom, but I can see it now. Just a second. Mm-hmm. Okay, you share it. Yeah, so we can go to the introduction if it's going to be like this. Until I came to the introduction page, I would like to say that this research was done for the 447 young people in Montenegro. So it's 47 people more than we have in the first draft. So I'm very proud that we have such a great number for this specific implementation. I want to say that our goal was to be this research be qualitative. So we have a lot of desk research. We have a youth law, of course, to be included in this report, as well as youth strategy for 2023 until 2027. Of course, the constitution of Montenegro and cybersecurity strategy, but also a lot of other documents that help us to find some information that we needed for this report. For young people, which are often the forefront of technology advance, the ability to navigate the digital platform is not only a matter of personal empowerment, but also it's a crucial element of democratic participation. As I said, we need to talk about things that are very important for young people in the digital era, so they can use the information and that they can make some important decision about them when they have something to do. The Clarity Montenegro institution have increasingly recognized the importance of participation, generally through the joining the initiative of the Open Government Partnership on the national, but also on the local level. But there is unfortunately no visible progress yet. The level of understanding and implementation can be various bank institution, but it remains at a very low level. Political changes of 2020 were expected to contribute the participation and digitalization issues, but of course, as I said, especially for youth, all practices have continued 4 years later, and there is no progress in this regard. So I think this project is very important for that, so we can see what are the crucial problems and then to make some changes that we really need. Can we just skip to the next slide, please? When we talk about research context, Montenegro is a European Union candidate, as you know, but it needs to be committed to aligning policies with European standards as well as that's the same situation with the young policies, including the promotion of digital skills, literacy, and democracy participation. The context of youth participation in digital democracy here in Montenegro can be analyzed through the key national strategies, policies, and legislative frameworks, as well as the review of the official statistics. And the overall population of Montenegro has been increasing, and the number of young people has been declining, which is a very big problem. Between 2020 and 2023, the youth population decreased around 30,000. The share of young people in the total population fell from 21%, 46 in the 2011 to 70%, 43 in the 2023, indicating a decline of more than 4% in more than a decade, which is very, very bad for our country. But we don't have, unfortunately, the data. What's happening is just that the people are not born, or young people are moving from the country. We don't have that data, but it's really good to see that we have problem with the decreasing the young population. According to 2023 census data from the Statistical Office Montenegro Monstat, the total population of Montenegro published on October 15 of 2024, the total population of Montenegro was 423,000, with 108 individuals aged 15 to 29 years old. In the terms of the gender distribution, there was about 78% young males and which is 51%, and 64,000 young females, which is about 49% living in Montenegro in 2023. The overall population of Montenegro has been increasing. The number of young, as I said, has been declining. Between 2010 and 2023, the young population decreased about around 30,000 people. Can we just skip to the next slide, please? When we talk about the overview of the available data, Montenegro youth population represents about 20% of total population, which is percentages that need to be worked on. In 2023, according to Eurostat data, about 88% of the individuals and 81% of the household had internet access in Montenegro, which is crucial for enabling youth participation in digital platforms. The biggest majority in southern Montenegro has internet access, about 93%, and then the central region of Montenegro, about 83%, and the last, the northern Montenegro, about 74%. When it comes to the internet access by youth, 100% of youth aged from 16 to 24 years old use the internet several times a day, while slightly less youth who belong to the group from 25 to 34, and the percentage is 99.4, but it's still a big one. Only 0.6% of users use internet once a day or almost every day. But when we talk about our data that we collected, we see that a lot of people have the internet connection, a lot of people use internet, but the question is on what causes and what is the main reasons for using the internet. When we talk about Montenegro, a lot of people use internet very often. about 46%, rarely or several times a year, 9.4%, sometimes once or several times a month, it's 10.5%, and never or hardly ever or never, 13.6%. Often or several times a week, 90.9%. So we see that the majority of the respondents use digital platform very often, engaging them from day to day. But we saw that integration in digital technology is not on the level that it needed to be, because people don't have a will to use the internet for including in political political teams to have some more data about the things that they need for the education. So the percentage is very high for the digital platform. So when we say digital platform for the Instagram, from Facebook and Snapchat, 88.10% young people use the internet for that. For Google Drive, Dropbox, Microsoft OneDrive, and iCloud, 21%. For the Slack, Microsoft Teams, Trello, and Zoom, for the business occasions, the young people use it just 9.2%. And for the YouTube, Netflix, and HBO, about 48%. This distribution suggests that while social media platforms dominate in youth engagement, there is a lower reliance project and collaboration tools, which may limit opportunities for the activism and the collective organization. In comparing in 2023, about 99% of youth age 16 to 29 years old in Montenegro report using the internet every day, comparing to 86% of the total population. Mobile devices and mobile phone, smartphone, were used to connect the internet by almost 88% of the Montenegrin users. The connection through a laptop or tablet was opted by 43%, while 27% of the internet user connection via desktop computer in 2023. Every fourth internet user, either mobile user or smart speaker, to connect to the internet. There is no available data regarding youth usages devices to connect to the internet. I would also like to tell some data about the other applications that are used for from the youth from 18 to 30 years old. When we talk about using email, it's 58.2%. Messages application, 49.2%. For the social networks that are on the highest, it's 77%. For the video calls, 39.5%. For the productivity tools that are very important for the development of the young people is 14 percentages. Also, the time management tools are on the 14 percentages. For the online courses and digital libraries is just 6.8 percentages. And from online banking, 12.9. When we talk about the executive summary, the report highlights the state of youth participation in digital democracy in Montenegro, but with focus of the extent of the young people digital skills, literacy, and engagement. The research shows us the gap between the potential of digital tools and the current level of youth engagement, with many young people remaining passive consumers rather than active participants in democracy, because young people use the digital media, they use the internet, but they are not included in everyday's occasions. Despite growing access to digital platforms, the level of youth engagement in civic and political activities in Montenegro is very low. As I said, the political situation from 2020 didn't change a lot, and that may be some of the reasons that young people in Montenegro are still very passive. A significant proportion of young people in Montenegro report feeling of disagreement from the political system, largely due to a lack of trust of institutions. Although most of the young youth are active on social media, their interaction with political content is largely passive. They sometimes from the this paper, we can see that they are not communicating neither with the politician, neither with some institution, NGOs, and other institutions from the government that can help them solve some of their issues. They are passively watching it. They are not included or included in very, very small percentages. While young people are proficient in basic digital tasks, such as using social networks or messaging platforms, many lack of deeper skills related to critical thinking, cybersecurity, and the ability to access the variety of information online, which is a big problem because if young people have the tools to take some information from the internet or the institution, they need to use it and then to make changes that they need in their part of the country. That it doesn't depend if it's locally or nationally. Of course, access to the digital platform is not uniform across the Montenegro. We see that in the central region it's very common, but in the northern part of Montenegro is not the same situation. The review of the outline of the sampling data collection is, as I said, 447 young people aged from 18 to 30. And this survey was open from June 24 until September 15, and it was on the Google survey. One of the information that was pretty interesting for us that when we ask people how they follow the news or how often they follow news and information about current social and political issues, and we have a lot of things coming in back of the last parliamentary election. They said that 26% followed news several times a week. 12%, which is very big, they respond that they never followed the news and information. Rarely is 34.3%, and every day 27.4%. We think that this is very bad. These are very bad data because if we need some changes in our countries, we need young people, we need new ideas and new energy, and we need young people to be more included in the whole situation, so that they need to be continuously and every day informed. When we talk about involving in any of the following action in a political way, they are not active if any of the listed way is 75.3. If they are a member of formal organization or association, 13.4%. That are actively engaged in the political party or any kind of movement is just 4.4%. That are active in any other ways of media or NGOs, it's neither 1%, no, 0.9. Member of the formal organization or association, such as registered youth or student organization, it's also very low, 0.30%. Member of the formal organization or association, 1.9. And I'm involved in the informational organization or youth group, 3.80%. When we talk about key findings from our research, is that this research shows us a substantial gap between the potential of digital tools and the current level of youth engagement, with many young people that are remaining, unfortunately, passive consumers rather than actively participants in democracy. Despite growing access to the digital platforms, the level of youth engagement in civic and political activities in Montenegro remains very low, and the significant proportion of young people here report feelings of disagreement from the political system because of the lack of the trust in institution. Although most of the youth people are active on social media, their interaction with political content is very passive. Also, the significant disparity in the level of digital skill among Montenegrin youth, with many lacking with the critical skills need to be fully participate in digital democracy. Access to the digital platforms is not uniform, as I said before, and youth in Montenegro are not well versed in cyber security principles. When we have the data that when we ask people in Montenegro, do they feel secure online, 37% of the people tell that they are secure, but 43% tell us that they don't feel secure. These findings are need to be urgent to be expected as an initiative. Because the online safety and security awareness is very much important and needed for the young population in Montenegro. Youth also, the report reveals a stark gap between the potential of the digital democracy and the currently reality of the youth engagement in Montenegro. As I said, a lot of young people are on social media, are on the internet, but they are not very included in the everyday occasion or the political situation, neither on the local or the national level. Can we skip to next? Thank you. When we finish this research, we made some four important recommendation for groups for the recommendation. First are the decision makers, which I think they are very important in making some huge changes in the life of the youth. We need to create the policies that specify, addresses the needs and interests of the young people, facilitating their active participation in governance and decision-making process. Also, we need to invest in improving digital infrastructure, particularly in the rural areas, because we saw that in some part of the Montenegro that are rural people don't have the access of the internet. It's low percentages, but it's still there. Initial programs aim to improve digital literacy among youth, equipping them with skills to navigate the online space effectively and responsibly so they can feel secure on the internet. And finally, provide and establish well-functioning of the youth councils at the local and the national level, because without the communication of youth with the decision makers, we can make any good changes for them, because the youth know the best what they need to change to make their life much better. When we talk about political parties, they need to utilize social media and digital platforms to engage young voters actively. As we saw in this investigation, that young people sometimes follow the political parties, but they are not very included in their programs, and they don't know who are the representatives or some political parties. They also need to establish open channels for dialogue with youth, such as online forum, Q&A session, and virtual town halls, to foster a sense of involvement and transparency for the young people. Actively support and promote young candidates within political parties to enhance representation and diversity in political structure. Also, they need to prioritize issues that matters to young people, such as education and employment in political agendas and campaign strategies. But also, when we are not in the campaign strategies, we need to talk about that matters, because it's not important issue when we are just about making elections. So we need to talk about it whole year, always and constantly. And the political parties need to provide trainings for the party members on effective digital engagement strategies to better connect with youth, because they need to have much more information about problems that youth have in our country, so that they could make some good examples, and they make some good initiatives that can help young people in Montenegro. Now we have a recommendation for youth organization, and last but not least for the youth. When we talk about youth organization in Montenegro, they need to invest in training programs for youth to enhance ability to engage young people in advocacy and digital participation. They need to utilize social media and other digital tools to create awareness, to create mobile support, and encourage young people to participate in the civic activities. Of course, they need to foster collaboration among young organizations to share best practices, the resources, the strategies, and to enhancing youth participation in digital sphere. Also, developing the initiative that provides safe and inclusive environment for the young people to express their views and engage in discussion about civic and political issues they need to make some safe space for them to have their opinions, to tell us what they need, what their problems are, so that the youth organization can be more louder about that problems. And for the youth, they need to encourage themselves to motivate and to educate about civic rights, political progress, and the importance of their participation in democracy through workshops or the online resources. They also need to actively participate in the online discussions, campaigns, and initiatives that address social and political issues of concern using digital tools for advocacy. They are also available at EU Prava. Foster collaboration among youth organizations to share best practices, resources, and strategies for increasing youth participation in digital sphere. Also to develop initiatives that provide safe and inclusive environment for young people. They also need to take advantages of digital platforms to express opinion, to advocate for the issues that they have, to connect with like-minded individuals in the organization, and on that case to make some changes in their communities. They need to challenge the status quo about actively participating in the political process, attending public forums, and engaging with representatives to voice concerns and suggestion. And they need to foster connection with other youth groups and the organization to amplify their voices and create a united front for advocacy for changing in their community. We made this recommendation for this 4 focus group because we think that they are the main factors that can make some changes for the youth in Montenegro. So I hope that a lot of these people that are targeted here will read this report, and that we will make some changes as soon as possible, so we can have a really educated young people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maya. I appreciate your presentation. I think the audience too. So we'll have the chance to see the report online and
yeah, sure.
So thank you very much. I'll give the floor to Orkidea Xhaferaj. It's a digital and innovation policy expert at SCiDEV. So Orkidea will moderate the session for reflection and discussion.
Thank you, Nabila. Welcome from my side as well to all of you that are here in Tirana, and also to friends and colleagues that are following us from Montenegro, but also from Serbia and other Western Balkans countries. Before going into the discussion, I would like to put a little bit of emphasis. We have people coming both from AKSI here and the Ministry of Youth, and regarding several recommendations, but mostly about cyber security education. All of us that have a background in ICT do some sort of distinction when it comes to ICT, cybersecurity, and media literacy. If you looked, and when during our presentation here that Luciana and Yasmina held before, cyberbullying, elements related to cyberbullying, personal data protection, privacy and safety online, all there were emergent issues. And these issues are not only emergent for youth, 16 to 29 years old. We see that through our work throughout the whole spectrum. Children nowadays, even on their first grade, they are having access to phones, they have access to the internet, to many different devices. And when it comes to skills, and skills is not only technical skills, it also includes digital, it also includes cognitive skills. They do not have them. And we, of course, welcome what the government is doing in terms of ICT education. It's ICT education in pre-university and coding clubs. There are absolute skills for tomorrow. And now also, it's another discussion. We talk about how coding is important in different fields. But when it comes to cyber, the effect is very, very emergent. That's why we are proposing and we are advocating, actually, not only with government, but also with different donor organizations, to teach pre-university teachers basic cyber skills. What is happening in classrooms, outside of classrooms, in the schools area, outside of schools area, not only in Tirana, but also all over Albania, is highly it's raising alarm bells. So this is why we're proposing that ICT skills is one thing, but the cyber and media literacy skill is another thing. And the same for children. They're learning coding, but if you go and ask people who are in tech about different cyber elements, you will see there are some shortcomings there. There are several colleagues of ours who have, clicked on the Posta Shqiptare message link and followed it through. Cyber is not about technical skills, is also about creating an understanding, awareness, and culture. That's why we're putting an emphasis constantly on that. And we saw today different elements relating to selectivism, which we notice overall in the Albanian young people participation in the digital ecosystem as an emerging trend. We saw issues about trust towards institutions in terms of not only having proper legislation in place, but also implementing and sticking to implementation of legislation. We see trust also in terms of reporting to young people. When you're going to go through the report, you'd see that many young people say that they, in case that their digital rights are being violated, they go and research online. They ask someone that is close to them about a solution, but they tend not to go to institutions. It comes with the trust whether institutions have the capacity to do that, but also an element that is reputational. So let's do things in hiding, or provide a solution in hiding rather than the society at large learning about that. And we talked about skills. It was very interesting going and reviewing the whole research, looking at how young people say. It's always the case when we self-estimate something, we're always estimating higher than actually it is. But many young people, for example, they are putting an emphasis how good their cybersecurity principles are, and then they say that only a quarter of the sample stated that they felt safe online, where 80% or 70% of them said that they had principles. So there's a gap between what we perceive and what's the level of awareness that we have, and it goes into technical how you implement that in real life. And about reskilling and upskilling, we strongly believe that digital education, digital rights education is not only an element that relates to professional development or VET or NEET as an element. It's something that needs to be cross-cutting throughout all the sectors. For example, what we're doing with the Network of Albanian in STEM, we are trying to set up programs that would give digital coding skills to women working in biology or in physics. Why? Because they're important. This is what we talk about upskilling. It's also an element that relates to empowerment inside a company. So when you start working somewhere, having digital skills that go beyond the usual, how to use the internet, but also how to access different pages are quite important. Having said this, I would highly appreciate your comments, questions, anything that you think is relevant to what we presented today, not only in Albania, but also in Montenegro. The whole region faces similar challenges. That's why we are getting and engaging in Erasmus programs to also share knowledge and brainstorm actually about common solutions. So the floor is yours now. I know I'm good when talking, but I didn't know I was that good. We saw this trend of participating with young people. Raising your hand. Participation is equal digitally and in the physical world. So this is a safe space, although we're online. Nothing. We're recording that, but we'll process everything according to law. So no worries about that. You have also consented us to use your data according to law. Okay, I have a question for the young people here. In the last 6 months, how many of you took place or learned about some public consultation processes going on in the last year? In the last 2 years then. So we can, in the last 2 years, Angie. How many of you engage in sharing content on social media when it regards to different causes, fundraising, and so on and so forth? Yes. Yeah, you can take the floor.
Hi, hello. I sometimes, when I find activities or other social causes, I share them on my Instagram account and I share it with my followers and friends. Because people know, like, my friends know that I participate in activities, and they always ask me, "Can you tell us?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll share it on my story, and if you're interested, you can check it out and you can ask me questions about it."
Thank you. Anyone else? I forgot one of the very important learnings of this research is a couple of months ago, at SCiDEV, we were discussing with our staff, younger staff, quite the age gap there. And we discussed about creating a task force on how to incentivize youth participation. And this research, or the outcome of this research, came at a very good time, because youth are asking for innovative ways to be engaged. Youth are asking for innovative and new social media channels to engage them. They're asking organizations, but also policymakers, to prepare content that is very easy understandable by them. But here I would put an asterisk, that is also meaningful, not just content for the sake of content. So youth are, through this research, there's a section with recommendations coming from youth for policymakers, but also civil society organizations, because stating how they want to be engaged. Youth have restarted to ask certifications and of participation in different events. So that is something that some of us need to be engaged. Oh yeah, thank you.
Should I read it aloud or? Okay, so we have a question from people following us online in this Zoom meeting, and what they're saying is, do you think it would be easier for people to know about their digital rights if there was a specific act legislation that described them, as many EU countries have, maybe modeled after the GDPR? It would also create a more concrete legal basis of their potential claims regarding a violation of their rights. So actually, regarding this question, before Orkidea jumping in, because she's very passionate, I would like to ask you here, what do you think about this question? So do you think it is necessary, not necessary? And then probably Orkidea can follow it up with some more information.
I was going to ask them as well. Okay, let's break it down. Do you know about digital rights and what digital rights are? Somehow. I'm not going to ask you for the definition, just, raise your hands. Okay, good. Thank you. Yes. You want to get into that? Yeah.
Sick, and that's why I'm not talking much. But of course, about digital rights, we are, let's say, we are working on, and we are near to have a digital rights and to act and to have a legislation in Albania. But if I need to say something, is that okay, we need to regulate a little bit more the legislation and what is in specific the digital rights in Albania. So this happens in what we need to learn more about it and what are our let's say legal issues that we have in internet and everywhere in digital rights, but also we need to improve more about violence. Of course, this is another issue, but it's important to concentrate and to relate about each other.
Thank you. Someone else would like to jump in? Yeah. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, Boriana Dine from eSigur.al platform, that is the national safety platform for internet in Albania, and also the national youth in the Ministry of Youth.
Nice to get to know you. Digital rights are human rights in the digital world. There's digitalization is advancing at a pace that we all talk, a fast pace, and we cannot keep up with it. And it also constitutes a large part of how we work or where we work in the digital space. We have all our documents up in the cloud. Our personal data are up in the cloud into different systems and so on and so forth. And I will get to the question. So digital rights are human rights. In my opinion, there's no need to we can have common understandings of what digital rights are. So there's better communication and also joint communication. What we see in Albania is also a fragmentation among different institutions, but also civil society organizations when we give definitions to things, so we can come to an understanding. But regulate digital rights are human rights. And you mentioned GDPR. So Albania has, before going to the GDPR, we have a law on personal data protection, a law which now has been worked on, and the new version, which is where GDPR is transposed in, still has to be passed. It's a long process. We have Serbia that has already done that, Montenegro that has done that, and Macedonia, correct me if I'm, Serbia, Kosovo that have already done that. So the legislation recognizes elements related to digital rights and digital right violation, although they're not, they might not necessarily be called like that. And also, what we're seeing is that new directives in the EU, like DSA, will soon be approximated in our countries. We have also to be very careful, I think, when asking about the legal definitions of things, about the environment that we are talking about. I don't like to make, it's my personal opinion, I don't like to make a distinction about digital rights. I always say human rights in the digital world, because they are human rights. And it's quite easier if you have another definition, and human rights are, universal. It's quite easy when you have somewhere else defined it, and it's quite easier to then build or not build on that, but also to abuse that. So digital rights are universal human rights in the digital sphere. What is an issue in our countries throughout the region is that we have legislation in place, but we have very big issues when it comes to implementation of legislation. And actually, this was also, I was very happy to find in the findings of the study, many young people in the focus groups mentioning that implementation was an issue when it comes to securing and supporting them online. So yeah, that is what I think about that. But also after this definition, I would like your input. Yes. We don't have another one. Oh, okay.
So hello to everyone. My name is Chrissy Klappe from the National Youth Agency. I actually don't have a question. I just want to add maybe my thoughts on the presentation case of Albania and Montenegro, or a general overview, not as a young person, because I'm not a young person anymore according to the Albanian legislation, and not as a public servant, but as a normal citizen. In my understanding, in Albania, we are doing quite good when it comes to technical knowledge, when it comes to providing children and young people with technical skills when it comes to coding or ITC, as you mentioned. But I think we are not doing as good when it comes to providing a general understanding or what young people should post online or how they should access platforms, what information they should share or not share. I think it is a fact that we have problems when it comes to data protection, because we are all aware of what happened in the last years with sharing personal data. And I don't know if we ask to young people what are personal data. What is cyberbullying? What is your thought when it comes to these particular issues? Maybe young people are not as aware as they should be. So I think in this specific case, we should, civil society, public institutions, should do more. Maybe there is not a need for legislation. I think we have in Albania, we have good legislation, but we lack in, as you mentioned, in implementation and in working with young people and providing them with information, with very basic one. There is no need to provide them with courses, with trainings, but maybe with focus groups or with gathering young people as we are doing today, and with providing them with basic information. I think we should do a lot of work, even just giving them an understanding on cybersecurity, or what they should post or not post online. I think this is very, very important.
Thank you for that. And it's very important what you mentioned, and it's also it's very easy to protect critical infrastructure. You have protocols in place, but it's very difficult to protect young people online. And you rightly mentioned that, of course, we have good legislation. It needs to be better. Implementation is an issue. But also when it comes to these issues, it's not like coding, counting from, I remember one of the first coding classes I took, count from 1 to 10. It's very easy. Coding is, I have a background in that. I'm not saying that it's, the easiest thing in the world, but it's very difficult to give young people nuances of understanding. Elements like, do you check what are your privacy settings, or who are you accepting following you online? So who are you showing your information to? And you rightfully mentioned, young people know of personal data, that they need to be protected, but they're not sure what personal data are. And it's right there in the law, the current law that is in place. It's very, very easily stipulated there. So it's very important that we do this sort of nuances and we do this sort of collaboration. And also I go back to one of the other recommendations in the study. You remember, because you were from the ministry, for some years ago, we had schools as community centers, an initiative that, as far as I know, it has died off in some countries, but that's an excellent setting to bring on this new, this knowledge, to get people together. And parents, we shouldn't forget parents, actually, who constitute a very important element of a parental control over children to some extent. So these schools can be very easily used to, these schools as community centers can be very easily used to in Albania, to provide, to share this new knowledge, to raise awareness, but also to provide basic skills. You don't need to do a lot when it comes to protecting yourself. You just need to have your phone with you. You go on social media, you learn, or you teach a couple of things to people. These are initiatives, as you rightfully mentioned, that require a lot of work, persistence, and at least I believe that they're not getting to be resolved in a day. We didn't have TikTok, I think, 3 years ago. We have TikTok now. We don't know what is going to happen in the next 3 years. We have a lot of risks coming from AI, coming from deepfakes. And our youth is knowledgeable about disinformation and fake news, but they don't have the skills to identify that. So what they do, they don't participate online, they don't share content. This is what they were telling us in the surveys and focus groups. So I don't know if anyone else or colleagues that are online want to jump in, because I don't see whether there are any more comments on there, or share a little bit about the Montenegrin experience. But they say that Rome was not built in a day. Oh, Angie, sorry.
First of all, I would like to congratulate the whole team for this initiative and for bringing such interesting topic to the table, and especially to consult it with young people. My name is Angelipa, for those who I'm meeting for the first time in this event. Currently working as an external expert at CCIS. One of the most important sections that actually draw my attention in this study was regarding youth participation. When we talk about digital participation, is actually a very huge topic, and it can be translated into different spheres of life. But one important element that was highlighted only also during Yasmina's presentation is actually the participation of young people in social media to raise their causes, especially in social aspects. So young people seem to be more active in different causes like environmental, social, or human rights protection, and they are more vocal to raise the voice in such platforms and to organize petitions or to organize different gatherings. Especially after COVID, we noticed that there were online campaigns in sort of online protests, in order for them to be vocal and express their issues. However, when it comes to other spheres like economic or political, it actually presents what you mentioned, the same, more or less the same situation that is actually also in physical world. So the political participation in digital sphere is still lower compared to social causes, and their mobilization seem to be lower than other topics. I think this is a good aspect to be studied as well, to see why young people are more related and sensitive when it comes to different issues, rather than the one who actually are the spheres who are actually impacting their lives directly. But there were very important initiatives also coming from other spheres. Public consultation, I see another trend actually from institutions, especially in EU level. I don't know if you follow them in social media, but they are now trying to be closer to young people, and they are starting to use also these keywords like Gen Z or different types of words that in order to present the work of public institutions for other people, in order also to increase transparency, something that in my opinion is actually lacking in Albanian context or generally in Western Balkan context. And this might also go as a friendly suggestion to the institutions that we have here on table, that maybe it's nice to have someone dedicated to translate the political agendas or the different initiatives that were mentioned here in a more friendly way, taking in consideration different level or different groups of young people, not only those who are actively engaged in civil society, but also the ones living in rural area or those who lack education and so on. So yeah, these were just two remarks and two topics that I wanted to bring to attention. Thank you for the invitation of being here today, and I wish you success.
The more people talk, the more I'm reminded about findings. Another very interesting finding of this research and what young people were saying, they don't trust consultation processes. And it's, I think it was in one of the focus groups saying that trust needs to be built to start, because we cannot divide digital and physical worlds. They're not two things, they intertwine with each other. So building trust in this they had put it actually face-to-face consultation processes, builds and enables them to then be active in digital democracy. So we have spillovers from the digital to the physical world and from the physical to the digital world. And we all need to put some actual thinking into that. I don't know whether you have any more questions. Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Sergio Giga, a specialist at the National Youth Agency. Admittedly, most of what I meant to say was already covered by Chris, but at the beginning of the presentation, I believe it was mentioned that young people are not the most aware about cybersecurity related topics. I conversely believe they are aware, but they actually just don't know how to wield and best utilize that information properly. And especially with the question that was brought up, if it would be a good idea to bring it as part of a legislation. Well, admittedly, the topic is entertaining, but the issue is that how relevant will such a side legislation even be? How much awareness will it even have? Because it's not like without meaning to sound demeaning or anything, it's admittedly young people are not the most well versed when it comes to deeper legislation related topics. So it will be interesting, but yeah, that's admittedly also a problem, albeit as a cause or slash initiative for increasing cybersecurity. It's always everything. Many such initiative is still a good thing nonetheless, because obviously it's very important, especially as was mentioned with the rise of AI, chatbots, and even so to say AI partners, to put it that way, because for instance, like I just wanted to bring up something that's potentially a bit heavy, but it was the news that I saw yesterday night and it caught my attention because, as I believe people are aware, there has been a raise in AI partners, digital partners for romantic purposes, for people to engage with, to build their own character with their beliefs. And there was this young person who had been chatting with this AI bot for a few months, and in the end it resulted in him taking his own life just because the conversation with this AI bot went that direction. And it was certainly a news that caught my attention. And yeah, I believe such AI bots need to be what's the word? Kept in check more. I can't find the exact word. Like restricted, because otherwise people risk straying too far away and potentially getting too emotionally invested. And yeah, yeah. But yes, this is why awareness of cybersecurity is more important than ever these days. Thank you.
Just to clarify the colleagues, but also the colleagues also mentioned that young people do assess their skills. They're excellent or very good in cybersecurity. So more than half of them, 60 point something or 70%. But then 1/4 of young people say that they feel secure online. That's why we made this distinction that self-perception and actual real life applications are two different things, and we have to act on that. If there are no more comments, I would like to thank everyone for joining us. There is a lot of wealth of information in the document. I would welcome public institution representatives to delve into that, but not into that. There's more research that backs up our claims. A couple of years ago, we talked to colleagues from the Faculty of Social Sciences conducted research on gender-based violence online, and to whom young people turn to in case of need and what are the challenges they're facing. There's very good research, very good data that it can help government institutions to create a bird's-eye view and also find hard and soft measures to address these issues. So thank you. I believe, or my understanding, there's a coffee. There's a reception on the first floor. Oh, and a family picture. Oh, wow. I said everything. Thank you.
Thank you everyone who is online. And we are having a family picture and continuing our informal discussion. See you later in our events.